The Forgotten Diary. He's been drawn to old books and forgotten stories, lost in the mists of time. The smell of yellowing pages, the delicate crackle of parchment, and the weight of history in my hands were irresistible. So, it was no surprise when I stumbled upon an antique store nestled in a quiet corner of the city one rainy afternoon. The store's sign was weathered and barely readable, but its windows beckoned with the promise of hidden treasures. As I entered, a little bell tinkled overhead, announcing my arrival. The store was a labyrinth of dusty shelves and forgotten curiosities. My fingers trailed along the spines of leather-bound books, my eyes danced over faded postcards, and my ears absorbed the muffled whispers of the past. The proprietor, an elderly man with a mop of silver hair and wise, twinkling eyes, watched me with interest. "Can I help you find something specific?" he inquired. I shook my head, my gaze fixed on an ancient typewriter perched on a worn desk. "I'm just browsing, thank you." With a knowing smile, he nodded and returned to his own musings, leaving me to explore the treasures of his store. I was in no hurry. My only goal was to unearth a story that had been long buried. After an hour or so of wandering, I found myself standing before a glass cabinet. Inside was an assortment of items, each accompanied by a handwritten card detailing its history and significance. My eyes were immediately drawn to a small, weathered diary with a cracked leather cover. The card read, "The Forgotten Diary. Belonged to Valencia Starborn, 1923. My heart quickened. The diary was beautifully crafted, its cover adorned with intricate patterns. Its pages, though yellowed with age, seemed to hold secrets waiting to be uncovered. Without hesitation, I gestured to the proprietor and asked to see it. He carefully unlocked the cabinet and handed me the diary. As I held it in my hands, I felt a strange connection to Valencia Starborn, as if her story was calling out to me. I paid for the diary, thanked the old man, and rushed back to my apartment, eager to dive into the past. The rain continued to fall outside, creating a cozy ambience inside my dimly lit apartment. I sat down at my desk, opened the diary, and began to read Valencia's words. March 15, 1923. Today marks the beginning of a new chapter in my life. I have moved to this charming little cottage on the outskirts of town. The air is crisp, and the birdsong is my only company. I hope this solitude will help me find myself. As I turned the pages, I was transported into Valencia's world. Her words painted vivid pictures of her life in 1923, a time when the world was on the cusp of change. She wrote about her daily routines, her observations of the natural world around her, and her dreams of becoming a writer. I felt like I was walking beside her, a silent companion to her innermost thoughts. April 18, 1923. I ventured into town today, hoping to find some inspiration for my writing. The streets were bustling with people, each lost in their own world. I found solace in the library, surrounded by books that whispered their stories to me. Perhaps one day, my words will find their way into the hearts of readers. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, I became completely engrossed in Valencia's life. She wrote about her struggles, her triumphs, and her dreams of publishing her work. I marveled at her resilience and admired her determination to follow her passion in a time when women's voices were often silenced. September 4, 1923. I have finished my first novel. The sense of accomplishment is overwhelming. Now, I must gather the courage to send it to publishers. This is a daunting task, but I will not let fear hold me back. As I read Valencia's words, I couldn't help but feel a sense of kinship with her. Her journey, though set in a different era, resonated with my own aspirations and dreams. It was as if her forgotten diary had been waiting for me, a kindred spirit, to give her story a voice once more. November 30, 1923. Rejection letters have started pouring in. It is disheartening, but I will not give up. I will keep sending my manuscript out into the world until someone sees the potential in my words. I am determined to make my mark. As the diary chronicled Valencia's struggle to get her work published, I found myself cheering her on from the sidelines of time. Her resilience in the face of rejection was inspiring, and I felt a deep admiration for the woman who had poured her heart and soul into her writing. January 15, 1924. Today, a letter arrived, and it was not a rejection. A publisher has expressed interest in my manuscript. I can hardly contain my excitement. This is the moment I have been waiting for, and I will seize it with both hands. I turned the page, eager to discover how Valencia's journey had unfolded. However, to my dismay, the diary abruptly ended. There were no more entries, no closure to her story. I felt a pang of disappointment and a longing to know what had become of her. Determined to unravel the mystery, I set out to learn more about Valencia Starborn. I scoured historical records, visited local archives, and even tracked down descendants of the Starborn family. It was a painstaking process, but my obsession with Valencia's story drove me forward. After months of research, I finally unearthed the missing pieces of the puzzle. Valencia had indeed gone on to become a published author. Her debut novel had received critical acclaim, and she had continued to write and publish throughout her life. She had become a literary sensation of her time, a trailblazer for women writers. My heart swelled with pride for Valencia, but I couldn't help but wonder why her diary had been abandoned in an antique store, seemingly forgotten. I returned to the elderly proprietor of the store and shared my findings with him. He listened intently and nodded knowingly. Ah, yes, Valencia Starborn. Her story is one that should never be forgotten. I found that diary in an old trunk at an estate sale many years ago. It seemed a shame for it to languish in obscurity, so I decided to share it with the world. Sometimes, the past has a way of finding its way back to us. I couldn't agree more. Valencia's story had found its way back to me, and I was determined to ensure that it would never be forgotten again. I set out to write a biography of Valencia Starborn, using her diary as the foundation for her incredible journey. It was a labor of love, a tribute to a forgotten author whose words had touched my soul. As I delved deeper into Valencia's life, I discovered that she had faced many challenges and obstacles, but she had persevered with unwavering determination. Her story became a beacon of hope for me, a reminder that passion and resilience could overcome even the most formidable of odds. Years later, my biography of Valencia Starborn was published, and her legacy was revived for a new generation of readers. Her forgotten diary had found its way into the hands of many, just as it had found its way back into mine. The book received critical acclaim, and readers from around the world were captivated by Valencia's inspiring journey. I received heartfelt letters and emails from people who had been moved by her story, and I knew that Valencia's words had transcended time to touch the hearts of a new generation. But the most significant impact of my work was yet to come. One sunny afternoon, as I was signing copies of the biography at a local bookstore, a young woman approached me. She had tears in her eyes as she held out a weathered diary, just like the one I had found in the antique store all those years ago. "Is this Valencia Starborn's diary?" she asked, her voice trembling. I nodded, my heart pounding with anticipation. The young woman introduced herself as Emily Starborn, Valencia's great-granddaughter. She explained that the diary I had found was indeed a missing piece of her family's history, one that had been lost for generations. She had stumbled upon my biography and recognized her ancestor's name, leading her on a quest to reclaim the diary that had been passed down through the Starborn family. We sat down together, and Emily shared the remarkable story of how Valencia's writings had inspired generations of women in her family to pursue their own dreams. She revealed that Valencia's legacy had lived on through her words, influencing not only her descendants but also countless other aspiring writers and artists who had come across her work. Emily's eyes sparkled with gratitude as she spoke. "Your biography not only brought my great-grandmother's story back to life but also connected me to a part of my family's heritage that I never knew existed." Valencia's passion for writing has been a guiding light for our family, and now, thanks to you, her story will continue to inspire future generations. We decided to collaborate on a project to preserve and celebrate Valencia Starborn's legacy. Together, we curated an exhibition featuring her writings, personal artifacts, and the diary that had started it all. The exhibition traveled to museums and libraries, sharing Valencia's remarkable journey with the world. As we worked tirelessly to ensure that Valencia's story would never be forgotten, I couldn't help but reflect on the serendipity of it all. It was as if the universe had conspired to bring Valencia's forgotten diary into my hands, leading me on a journey that would change my life and the lives of those touched by her story. In the end, the forgotten diary became a symbol of resilience, passion, and the enduring power of words. It served as a reminder that stories, like people, have the capacity to transcend time and connect us across generations. Valencia Starborn's diary had found its way into the hands of a kindred spirit, and together, we had ensured that her voice would echo through the ages, inspiring dreamers and writers for years to come. As I stood in the midst of the exhibition, surrounded by the legacy of a woman who had once been forgotten, I felt a profound sense of fulfillment. Valencia's diary had not only found its way back to the world but had also found a permanent place in my heart, a testament to the enduring magic of forgotten stories.